Welcome to This Week in BJJ, the only show running the gamut of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and running it live every Friday night.
Hello guys, and welcome to a new episode of This Week in BJJ. I'm Budo Jake, and today is July 5th, 2012. We're joined again, as usual, with Budo Dane.
Guys,
did you have a nice 4th of July, Dane?
I had a very nice 4th of July. Kind of mellow, but good.
Did you eat too much?
Yes, I made sure to eat too much.
Good, that's what you're supposed to do. And we have Kevin Finn, Paragon Jiu-Jitsu brown belt. Welcome to the show, Kevin.
Thank you.
We'll get back to your story a little bit in a few minutes. And Sean Williams, you're back.
Yes, sir.
You were here for the first episode, and then you were away for 4 weeks.
Did a little traveling.
Yeah, how was the trip?
It was good. Good. I went to Miami, which was always nice, right? And then back home, so to speak, to Henzo's for about 10 days.
Nice.
So it was pretty cool.
What was going on at Henzo's?
Had a big belt ceremony there. So we had like our annual belt ceremony. Pretty cool. I got my 3rd stripe, so that was pretty cool. Yeah.
That means you're getting old.
I mean, yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah. Yeah, once you get the black belt, it's no longer about skill anymore, right? You're just getting old. Cool. Oh.
Get some good training in there, though?
Yeah, awesome training.
I love the awkward pause after that.
Yeah, got to see everybody, all my buddies, and got a great training and a lot of great training sessions. And they have a lot of super high level guys now. So Sapo getting ready for his fight was going training there. I mean, it's a wrecking crew in there now, so it's pretty awesome.
Now, my perspective is that Henzo's team seems to be focusing a little bit more on MMA than jiu-jitsu competition. Is that true?
You know, they train with the gi actually every day.
Right.
The only real big no gi session is they just have 1 day a week, but there is a heavy push right now. There's a lot of guys fighting on their camp. Yeah, you know, Hollis is gonna get ready to fight again. Sapo is fighting in the UFC here, and I think next week, we think about a week, over a week, the show in San Jose. I think Igor's getting ready to fight. There's a bunch of guys fighting out of that camp right now. Yeah, so it's pretty. Frankie's, you know, obviously Frankie Edgar, all the guys. George is down visit, so it's pretty
Is
crazy.
Hodger still training over there for MMA?
Hodger goes over there, and I believe he's also at Black House as well. So, but oh yeah.
Who was teaching most of the classes there?
You know, all the guys teach. Like Gregor teaches, Igor teaches. I primarily was at John Danaher's classes. He teaches during the day and in the early morning. Like I have a lot of students that I used to teach that are in those classes, so it's always nice to go see those guys. And, you know, and he and I is one of my best friends. So
cool. Well, it's good to have you back.
Oh, thank you.
Kevin, let's get back to you for a second. This is your first time on the show, and
It is.
we've hung out a few times, but for the people out there that don't know, tell us a little bit about your jiu-jitsu story.
I've been training about 9.5 years now. I started at Hickson's. You know, I watched the UFC, but I didn't know much about jiu-jitsu, and I was actually living a couple blocks from his academy, and I literally walked down the street and saw the sign and was like, who's this Rickson guy? Because I knew who Hoist was, but I didn't know, you know, so I looked him up, and I was like, all right, I got to check this out. And I went there, was like, you know, this stuff's for real.
Was Hickson actually there?
At the time, he wasn't. He wasn't there that often. He would come in during the summers and train at night. But I was more of a noon guy, so I actually saw him once. Although I did get to hip throw him, so I have that on my resume. But after about a year, I moved up to Oregon and was just training out of my garage. And then I came back down and I met Sean, and I got to train with Sean. I got my blue belt 2005. And then me being me, I'm moving around again. I was in Chicago for a while, and I trained at Gracie Jr in Chicago. Got my purple belt there. And then about...
Is that with Adam?
Yes. Oh, yes. Great guy. And came back to L.A. Actually got my brown belt from this fine gentleman almost 3 years ago. He since had the opportunity to go open 5-star, which is great. So I'm still training over at Paragon Hollywood now. Just, you know, keeping the dream alive.
All right. Let's talk about Paragon for a second. They're known for their 2 superstars, Jeff and Bill.
Yeah.
Is there something in the Paragon water that creates those flashy styles of those guys, or do you think they're kind of standouts?
I don't think there's something in the water. What I think more than anything is Frangia lets guys do what they want to do, you know, as opposed to a more rigorous, you're going to learn X, Y, and Z, and these are what you're going to learn, this is what I'm going to teach you. I think he lets the reins go and lets guys work on what's good for them. So, you know, Jeff in his deep half guard, he's such a light guy that he likes to move really freely and get to positions where guys can't put his weight on him, and it's very hard to hold him down. So he really likes to work on that aspect of his game, and I think it's, Frangia allowing, and not trying to stick to a set curriculum or a set way to let these guys go and do what they're most comfortable with, and then their personalities get to shine in their style of jiu-jitsu.
So would there be anything that you'd classify as a Paragon style?
Well, those guys get in the deep half guard, man. They get underneath you, and you're just like, and I'm a tall guy. I'm 6'5", and so I got a lot of room underneath my legs, and so guys are climbing under there under the time, and it gets a little frustrating.
Do you play deep half at all?
I can't. Well, my problem is if I ever try to get to deep half, I'm so long, the guy's legs just pop out from in between mine. I'm like, and I just sort of give him cross side, and it's like, dang. So
pull cross side is not a good idea.
Yeah, it hasn't worked out too well for me over the years, so no.
So that wasn't your style that you were developing?
No.
But you could put a DVD out, deep cross side.
Exactly. How to pull a really strong cross side. Exactly.
Well, Dane, we had a busy weekend.
Oh, man.
We had the seminar on Saturday and on Sunday. On Saturday, we went out to Temecula to train with Carlson Gracie Jr. I met him during the filming of Rolled Up with Carlson in Chicago a couple months ago, which that episode just came out, by the way. It's on YouTube. And I was so impressed with how nice Carlson is. Have you guys met him?
Yeah.
Super nice guy. And, my perception before was that, pit bulls, the bulldogs on the logo, and just the kind of, I think, stereotype a lot of people have is the crushing, MMA style jiu-jitsu. But he couldn't be any more different.
Yeah, he was completely nuts. I mean, you think from his father, he developed all these MMA teams, and I was expecting for him to be a little more forward or upset, and he's just immediate hug and handshake. I was like, nice to meet you too. Mm-hmm. This is crazy.
Yeah, he is a sweetheart.
Yeah.
He's a super nice dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, and funny too.
Mm-hmm. Very funny. So we went out to his academy in Temecula, and we were welcomed by Tom Cronin and Orlando Alonso. You guys are running a great academy out there.
Great job, guys.
Yeah, thanks a lot for that. And what were some of your favorite moves from the seminar, Dane?
I like that throw he showed. I mean, speaking of learning things about Carlson, is that he has apparently like a Greco-Roman wrestling background. And he was telling me he picked this up from like the Eastern European wrestling team, and they let the Brazilians train with him, according to him, because the Brazilians didn't really threaten him. And so he showed this throw that started with this.
Well, tell him why they taught him that throw. He kept getting thrown over and over and over with the same throw, and eventually he said, "Hey guys, can you show me what you're doing?" And they said, "Yeah, you guys are you're not a very good wrestling team. We'll show you what we did." And so he shared that technique at the seminar.
I'd have to show it to you, but this is this crazy underhook with a switch, and you end up hopping under the guy and take them all the way over. And when he first showed it, I was like, "Oh, that's pretty. I mean, that looks cool." And then he showed it to me, and the way he locks up the arm, I was like, "Oh, this isn't going anywhere." He comes across and he feeds the arm back in, so you're here, and once you're there and he drops, it just goes. So it was that was my favorite. That was my standout technique.
Yeah, with his judo and wrestling background combined with the jiu-jitsu, awesome combination.
Yeah, when you hit a really good judo guy, and if you're not experienced with judo, you just feel light.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how big they are. All of a sudden, you're just like, I'm in the air.
Right. There's also a belt promotion.
Right.
And he said, we don't whip people anymore, not in America anyway, but we throw them. So every guy that got their new belts or stripes, he threw them, and he has some beautiful judo. So there is a video clip. Let's take a look at it. So let's see. Oh, this is the inverted half guard escape.
This is something I hadn't seen before either.
He had some good details on pushing the belt down.
Mm-hmm. One of the big ones for me was I've always used the bent arm. He said straight lock your arm out.
Yeah. Okay, here we go with the promotions.
Are these the brown belts?
Yeah. Here's the good throws.
So the hardness of the throws ramped up as the belt level raised.
They can take it.
So these are the overheads. The kids were just trips.
Mm-hmm. That was a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Seminars. What's the best seminar you guys have ever been to, Kevin?
I guess you brought Danaher out one time.
Yeah.
And that was a little mind-blowing.
In what way?
Just his depth of his understanding of all positions. Like, for example, right out of the gate when he just starts talking, he doesn't use the word choke. He uses strangulation, because that is the dictionary definition of what you're doing. And
Yeah.
why would we say choke if what we're doing is strangulating people? And you're like, all right, that's where we're going today. And just getting into all the little details and the bits and pieces of every little tiny thing, it really opens your mind up. And like, wow, I had no idea that it could get that serious. So probably the Danaher.
Yeah, for me too.
You too?
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, he was just out a few months ago. He's going to come back out again at the end of the summer. And, oh, my Lord. Yeah, I felt like a white belt. Like, I was just, the last one he taught was a couple months ago, and I just learned how to teach a seminar, basically. Like, he taught me how to, oh, boy, you know what? I need to polish up my seminars because, man, I'm a low-level seminar guy compared to this. So it was great. You know, and, yeah, it's the way he breaks down everything. It makes you feel like you're in, like, a college. Makes you feel like you're in school.
Wow.
So it's impressive. Very impressive.
I remember his demo everything on Dane, and Dane almost went to sleep a couple of times. just down there,
yeah.
just trying to help.
Yeah, it's a different level of depth of knowledge on all aspects of grappling too. Like not just jiu-jitsu, it's every aspect of grappling. It's pretty impressive.
From what you know of him, does he just sit there and digest grappling techniques?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, well, I know when I lived in New York, we spent it was typical, and this is no exaggeration. I'm not exaggerating. So, it was typical that we shared a 7 a.m. class, so we would teach 7 a.m. And we would be leaving the school around 11 p.m. And we would have, lunch in between. Now, he only eats once a day. So, I'm a little bit of a pig, So I had to take a couple breaks during the day, but he eats once a day. And the other than that, it was all teaching, watching video, or training for the whole day.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm not exaggerating. So people out there like, oh, he's like, oh, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. Too bad I didn't have a video camera in the school at that day. It's like, because I would love to show you. Yeah,
you think he studies the game more than you do?
I would say he does because I have more responsibilities now. but
Jake did just throw the gauntlet, by the way.
Yeah, he did. Like, dang, man. I try. I do my best.
But you do eat, so that knocks you back.
I eat, and it takes me time.
Yeah.
So you
More
lose
than
at least
one
2
meal a
hours,
day.
3 hours right there.
I know. He's ahead of me. I got to stop eating.
Yeah, there he is.
Yeah, it's just all day with him, And it's still all day with him. I think he leaves earlier now from the school. So, but he's when he's not teaching, he's studying.
Wow.
Yeah, it's impressive.
You got to let us know when that seminar comes up.
I will,
I'd love to attend.
I will. Yeah, I'll get you guys up there. It's
Cool.
going to be near the end of the summer.
Well, the best seminar I've been to was a Mendes Brothers seminar. That was a few months ago in
Hands
L.A.
down.
That was incredible details, and they roll with everybody, black belts or whatever. They go through the line, went I think 3 times through the
Right.
line, submitting everybody.
Oof.
Just amazing.
Which
Line them up.
Which brings us to our Sunday. They had a seminar at their grand opening last Sunday, and we were at first, Jake and I were talking. We're like, I wonder if they're gonna do that this one. And then we get to the event, and the line's literally wrapping around the building.
Oh, man.
And both I literally watch people just pack up their gears. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I'll just watch or stop in. And so they had a free seminar, and when everyone got on the mat, it was literally, no jokes, shoulder to shoulder with people laying down. And they showed some cool stuff. I think we have a clip of the seminar.
Oh, nice.
Art of Jiu-Jitsu.
Nice.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's a few people.
It's like
When
a
the
Black
thing-
Friday sale.
I know you're like, it's a Hollywood club opening.
It's Pat in the middle there. Pat from the owner of Ruka. The place looks like an art gallery.
It does.
It's awesome.
It's
And they
all
said it's
white.
not done.
Right. A lot of great pictures.
Andre.
Val.
There's Pat again.
BJ Penn was also there. Had some live music.
DJ in the house.
Yeah, the thing about that line was that there's food out back, so there are people getting food as well.
Kid Peligro.
Yeah, there's a lot of firepower on the mat.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the mat.
All white mats. How long do you think those are going to stay white?
They don't stay white for too long. I don't
Really?
think. Yeah. But they look cool.
Yeah, the whole thing's white floor to ceiling. You can kind of get a sense of it here of how many people, because there you go.
Wow, that's awesome.
The Mendes brothers taught a few techniques, and Andre taught a technique.
So cool.
Would you say the standout technique? Because they showed the leg drag, but the standout technique was the armbar variation they showed, right?
Yeah, that was a cool one. Also the triangle
Oh,
that we
yes.
drilled earlier this week.
Yes, we did.
I mean, you learn these details. We'll see a video later of the armbar, but you learn these details of really basic positions that you think, oh man, why didn't I know that before?
Yeah.
Why didn't anybody ever tell me that?
Oh,
Or
yeah.
maybe your instructor just didn't do it that way, but sometimes the smallest details can make the biggest differences.
They definitely do. They definitely do. Congratulations to the Mendes for that grand opening. That's
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah.
But the little details are, well, at a certain level, they start making humongous difference.
Yeah,
You know, humongous difference.
I just learned a little detail last week, and I never, I apologize to my instructors over the years if I never picked this up, but
And that's a good point. That it's not always our instructor's fault.
No,
Sometimes
yeah.
we just didn't
yeah,
pick it up.
I happened to
It's
miss
true.
that class over
Yeah.
and over again. But but the difference between why the real difference between holding monkey grip here and then with your thumb around,
Right.
and when you have your thumb around, it allows the person to spin their wrist no matter how hard you hold it. But when you come in, you really monkey grip and you pinch your fingers down, the wrist cannot move. And so from Kimuras to your Jujikatami, your mounted armbar, one of the classic escapes from the mounted armbar is to turn your thumb down and run. You clamp that monkey grip on that wrist, there's no turning that thumb down.
Really?
Yeah, give it a try.
That's a good point. I've had that conversation with people before, because sometimes this just feels so much more natural.
Yeah, it does.
We never pick up anything like this. You know?
Speak for yourself.
Some of us are monkeys,
You guys don't have sloth hands? I do it all the time.
I'll tell you what, nothing's gonna move out of that sloth
Right.
hand though.
Yeah.
I hope I just coined that. I hope that takes off.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the Mendes brothers a little bit more. They have coined a term of their style of jiu-jitsu as being modern jiu-jitsu. And a lot of people look up to them to that fact because they're influencing a lot of people. I see a lot of people doing brimbelows and leg drags and stuff like that. They might not have been the creators of those techniques, but they're the ones that are doing it at the highest levels of competition successfully. And I know I'm always trying to stay up to date, trying all the latest new things, because that's fun for me. But sometimes, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, sometimes I feel like I'm trying too many things and not focusing on the highest percentage moves. Modern jiu-jitsu, what's your take, Sean?
I think that's an interesting term. It didn't matter to me what it's called. It's pretty cool. They're doing a great job of doing what they do at the highest level, so it has a big influence on people that are competing. Because if it's working at that highest level, there's something to it. So I think hats off to them for making that work. It doesn't matter to me what people call it. I don't care if it's modern or old. It doesn't matter. It's all coming from moves that have existed before, and you put a little spin on it, and you get something kind of relatively new to the audience. So it's great. I think the evolution of our martial art is anything that evolves it, moves it forward, is fantastic. Whether it's forward in sport or whether it's forward in self-defense. I mean, that game is not going to be good in self-defense. So I mean, let's make sure we draw a line, and say like, okay, we're evolving the sport side, which is awesome, and then what do you do to evolve the self-defense side or the martial arts side or the MMA side? They're all three different categories. So the evolution of the sport, that's awesome. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I'm a bit more of a classical style. I started at Hickson's, and their style of jiu-jitsu has always been the self-defense aspect. More no holds barred, not even MMA, but no holds barred, where you've got to be careful of your face, you got to be careful of all that stuff. And like Sean was saying, with the sport thing, it's for sport. And I know you guys talked about this a bit, on the broadcasts at the tournaments, where Jake, you want to fight in tournaments. Like, man, life just gets in the way. I only have X amount of time. We're not Danaher. I eat more than once a day. And so, I only have so much time to train and study what I'm studying. So for me to limit the amount of techniques that I'm worried on, that I'm working on, and have those techniques work across all aspects. So whether we have the gi on or we're no gi, or I'm not getting in a cage anytime soon, but you know, if the situation ever arose where, you know, self-defense, that my style of mount or my style of back is going to work in all those circumstances, and knowing how much time I have to train, I want one move that I can practice 1,000 times, not 1,000 moves for a single position that I can go and memorize. And it's beautiful if you can, you know, if you have that opportunity to train constantly for long periods of time and study all these things. And I mean, I love going to tournaments and watching, you know, the Barambolos and crazy back takes and all that stuff. But knowing I'm like, oh man, I'm just not going to get there. So I'd rather work on what the few things that I really want to be good at.
We talked about this a little bit before, but tell me about the cases where people are focusing on maybe Barambolos too early on in their career.
Well, you know, I think it's Kevin made a good point. It's all individualistic, you know, what your goals are, and that's. But inevitably, I always have to put this little stick in there. Inevitably, everybody should know how to defend themselves. I mean, man, I would really be disappointed in myself if one of my students took a beating in the street when they needed jiu-jitsu and it wasn't there, you know. But anyway, get back to the topic. Specialized games for sport, I mean, it depends on the guy's goal, right? Individualistic. If you want to win the Blue Belt World Championships and that's your sole goal, then so be it. Then you better specialize your game starting at white belt. And by blue belt, you can probably win. Like, I mean, it's bearing that you are an athlete and you have a great day and you have great technique, and because everybody can't win the world, so it's only one winner at each division. But in my opinion, specialized games early on hurt your progression in the sport, but definitely in the martial arts aspect of the game. So you can still be successful with specialization early, but I think you start to struggle, especially the more you hang on to that game. If you're not willing to play around, guys are going to learn your game.
Right. I want to remind you guys that we do have a chat room. So right underneath the video screen, there, if you're watching live, there's a chat. Scroll down there, enter a username, and you can join in. If you have any questions for any of us, feel free to ask. And we do have a question from Renshido B. He says, I just started training last April and want to know, what does it mean to have a jiu-jitsu game? And how do you begin to develop one?
I guess a game is to have an understanding of all aspects of all the positions. So the 4 primary positions, you know, the mount and the back and cross side and the guard. And have an option. Like we were talking with Dane, you know, we're both computer programmers, so we think very logically, and we have, if he does that, I'm going to do this. If he does that, I'm going to do that. And you have your repertoire. Once you have a repertoire for all your primary positions, your main positions, you kind of have a game to work from. And your A move may be different from my A move, you know, but at least you have one. And then it's just building that depth of all those positions and understanding more of the nuance and building a wider array of those is the sort of the evolution over time as you get better.
That's kind of a funny term, game. You know, so I've heard some people say, "Is jiu-jitsu a game?" No, it's not. But you know, people say he has a good open guard game. You know.
Yeah.
So
playing, right?
Yeah.
Like do you have game?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you know, that's a term used in other aspects of life, right?
That's right.
But I think it's the same in jiu-jitsu. In layman's terms, like, can you play around and have fun rolling around and be, you know, integrate new things on the fly, or be able to respond to certain situations and keep the roll moving forward and not be stumped.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, you have an A, B, C, enough moves to be able to do something repetitively, whether you're getting finished or not. Like, you're able to respond to what they give you.
Yeah.
So
I remember as a white belt hitting in those positions and, like, you know, your arms are getting dragged over. Yeah. I don't know what's going on right now.
Yeah, I don't know.
I did not have a game at that point.
Well, I'd like to congratulate somebody on getting his black belt. Benny Dariush just got his black belt.
Oh, yes.
Congratulations.
He trains with Homolo Bahal. And
oh, nice picture.
And also over at OC Jiu-Jitsu, or Half Gracie's school in OC, I think.
Yeah, with Bruno there.
Right. You've trained with him a little bit, Sean, right?
Yeah. I'm very fortunate. He's really a very talented guy, you know. So, and I look forward to train with him again. Now I'm back in town. I think I'll be over there at Homolo's once or twice a week to start training again. Super talented. Not only guard. I'm not gonna tell his secrets. You know, he got some secrets that he's got me with. Like, I didn't know you knew how to do that.
He definitely had we were talking about specializations, and I've seen him because a lot of my peers competed against him in tournaments, but he would play that cross collar sleeve to his left from the guard and omoplata triangle, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, but the secret is he has more than that.
Well, yes. once you hit the brown black level, you now have a game.
Yeah.
And so clearly he's going to have more than that. But I just remember seeing him coming up through all those tournaments and just killing people with it.
My most memorable match of his was against Crone at the ACC Trials in San Diego. It's an incredible match.
Yeah.
I thought he won.
I'm still confused by that match. I thought he did too.
I had to go back and try to watch it and try to pick apart like how the 2 points.
Yeah, some
got
2
on
points
there.
came in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Did you figure it out?
Well, you know what? Like, you can see it. Just the move took a long time to kind of come to fruition, but I guess I could maybe see how there could have been arguably 2 points. Yeah.
Right.
Judgment call is what I'm hearing right now.
Yeah.
That match is on YouTube, so check it out. Benny versus Cron.
But very talented young man, so congratulations to Benny.
Right. Okay, let's take a break from the news topics for a while. I want to talk about a product that I really like. This is Defense Soap. And if you're like me and you train on a lot of different mats, even if you're only training on one mat, this is important. But I train on a lot of different mats, and this stuff has saved my skin a number of times.
Literally, actually.
Yeah. I heard this works if you have game, too.
Yeah.
You want to get Defense Soap.
And if you have a girlfriend, you have game to get the girlfriend. You're going to need that. Otherwise, they're not going to get anywhere near you.
That's one thing that pisses a girl off, getting ringworm.
That would not be a good thing.
No, sir.
Not be a good thing.
So let me just run through the products real quick. This is a gel that you can use, put on a loofah or whatever in the shower. This is what I use. If you don't like that, you can use the bar of soap. This will last a lot longer, certainly. These are the wipes. And Dane, we've used these at tournaments a number of times.
This is our parking lot bath right
Nothing
here.
worse than tournament mats. You know, you got so many guys.
I'd use those just going to the grocery store. Just get clean that up.
Yeah, a couple of these, and you're protected until you get home to take a shower. This is something that I discovered recently. I never really knew what it was. They call it the healing salve, and this is if you already have an issue, then you put it on. And I used a prescription medicine the last time I had a little bit of ringworm, and 2 days later it wasn't doing anything. I put this on. 1 day later it dried up.
Nice.
Works really good. They say you can use it in combination with the oils. I haven't tried the oils, but the salve is awesome. And a couple other items. This is a barrier foam. This is something I haven't used. You can spray this on you before you train.
Sure.
Which I don't really like the idea of putting something on me before I train. They say it's not greasy, but I don't know.
You haven't used it?
I haven't used this, no. Then the last one is sanitizer. You can use this to spray on your equipment before you use it.
Whoa.
Just mix this with water.
Can you squirt it in your hand and rub it in your
opponent's face?
Your opponent's eyes?
Yeah, that'd be a great idea.
Do they make any pills that you can squash up?
A little holster for your belt that you just
like
that would be
Bloodsport.
awesome.
Yeah.
Quick draw.
Like Chun-Li.
Sometimes I do want to put some of this stuff on my opponents. You know.
Yeah, just spray it on them.
Just walk up. Trust me, you need this.
You know, I got a story. Want to hear a good story?
Absolutely. Is it a ringworm story?
Maybe it's potential like that,
All
right?
All good stories begin with
in the
ringworm.
early days, and I'm talking way early days. We had a guy at Henzo's, and he would just not wash his gi at all, right? This is early. Actually, no one got ringworm from this either. Like, I have to say.
No, they got ill, but they didn't get ringworm.
his gi was literally, it had a film on it. It was it was pretty impressive, and it was something else to roll with that guy. It was pretty impressive.
Wow.
But not anymore, obviously. But that was in the war days.
So for any
96,
new guys out there,
97.
let's just clarify: wash your gear after every class.
Wash those gis.
Yeah.
Now, of course, it's a policy, but in the early days when no one even knew what jiu-jitsu was, they
should have
training.
like
It's
a
hardcore
color
guys.
tone thing. If your gi is darker than this,
This
just
was
get it
a
outta
shade
here.
of brown. Does
Yeah,
that
exactly.
make it?
you see guys in tournaments sometimes like that, and I wonder if that's like a
The shade of gray gi. It's turned to gray,
it's like
right?
a weapon, like to
It's a lethal weapon, gray gi.
They keep it in a briefcase in their closet.
I think I'm gonna market that cologne, gray gi.
Grey gi.
Yeah, gray
Nice.
gi, and it's gonna be a cologne, gray gi,
Wow, that'll kill your game.
and I'll make you. That's it.
I'll tap.
Yeah. Spray it on the people that are.
Exactly. This guy.
Yeah.
And let's dispel another myth while we're at it. Wash your belts on a regular occasion too.
No, I refuse. That your belt is not big enough to get something on it. I've never got anything or heard of anyone. Now, I'm sure I'm wrong. I bet I'm wrong on this one. I'm willing to eat this one. Do not wash your belt.
You're being serious.
I'm totally serious. I'm completely dead serious.
Why would
on
you
that.
not wash something that's in contact with the mat and other people?
Because we clean our mats twice a day. I don't know what everyone else does, but we clean our mats twice a day. And I tell my students, don't put your stuff in a bag. But the belt, it's small. It's not, you're not wearing it on your whole body. It's usually over the clothes. It's not on your, there's some sweat and stuff, but
What are you going to lose by washing your belt?
All your sweat, and blood,
all
and
your
tears.
skills.
Yeah, that's it. It's like Samson and Delilah, man. You're gonna cut your hair off, and you're gonna lose all your strength. You're gonna wash your belt, and it's gonna go down the drain. But also, you know what? You're cheating. When you wash your belt and you're wearing your belt, it's all worn out.
Yeah.
Like my black belt, my first black belt I have, I can't even wear it anymore because it's like ready to fall apart. If I tie it too tight, I think it'll rip in half. And that's from wear. That's not from washing.
Well, we're gonna have to disagree on this topic.
I'm happy to disagree with you.
I've never
Okay.
washed my belt.
There we go. See?
I'm disgusted
not
by
training with
myself.
either of
Maybe
you
I
guys.
hammered it into his head
Exactly.
early. See?
My belt has smelled so bad. Like I've literally opened my bag and I've been like smelling my game. Like, what's wrong with? Oh.
Well, you can't
It's
leave
not
your
like
belt in there.
No,
sweating.
yeah.
No,
of course.
I hang it.
Yeah, well, one difference is we train at Gracie Baja Irvine, and for the no-gi classes there, they require you to wear your belts
Oh, during the class.
during the class. So
Yeah.
you're having your sweaty
Oh.
rash guard and your
Okay, well,
shorts
maybe
with
okay,
the belt.
it's a little different, maybe.
And let me assure you, you want us to wash our belts.
Dude, look, I'm
Okay.
disgusted by myself after I'm done with training. Like, I am
There's
disgusted.
tears involved.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I
okay,
know,
maybe
I'm
that's
just
a little
walking out
different.
the gym
you
like
know.
this, like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
But
The belts tend to dry
just-
pretty quick.
yeah.
They're small. They're little. They're not covering your whole body. So maybe that's a little different.
Well, speaking of empirical information, Bishop BJJ recently released more stats. We've spoken about this on previous TWI BJJs, and I'm going to list off a few stats here that are pretty interesting. The first one that I noticed was the submission by type, and this is for the Worlds 2012, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, and so of all the submissions, the chokes from the back accounted for 35% of all of the total submissions, which I would believe, right?
Yeah, but still, that seeing it in black and white is surprising. That's a high percentage.
Right. Arm bars were 12%, which again I believe. This one I found actually pretty interesting was that foot and ankle locks accounted for 12% of all.
Same percentage as armbar.
is this black belt only?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
in gi though.
Mhm.
And I've been under the concept that foot and ankle locks are generally like low percentage in the gi.
I was
No.
a more higher percentage with no gi.
Right.
I think they've been on the rise. I would
Yeah.
say more the statistic of them being the same as an arm lock was definitely different within the last 5 years.
Right.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Because it's more accepted. More people train them now.
Yeah.
Right. Cross collar top was 12%, and then the Kimura Americana was 5%, which is funny because I didn't list it here, but the rest of the submissions accounted for only like 2%. Even the other, which I'm sure was some sort of technical submissions, were only 2%.
There's no triangle. Triangle's not on here. Is that part of the 2%?
That was part of the 2%.
Really? Because I would imagine triangles would really kick
But
up. And
for the black belt matches, I think there's so many defenses.
I'm trying to think about all the fights. Just,
Yeah.
Yeah.
going through the Rolodex right now.
I think there were a lot, statistically, obviously, but less triangles over the last couple of years actually.
Mm.
Right. And then
I'm sorry, Dane.
Go ahead.
Cross collar top. Is that a mount? A choke from mount?
there's the cross collar from the mount.
Okay.
Yeah, if
'Cause there's
Roger
a-
fought, that percentage would be like 35,
Right. Because from the bottom it was like 1%, 2%. So taking the back, and this one I thought was really interesting. So from passing the guard, 40%. We've seen that a lot with the Mendes brothers, which is to be expected. Standing, 27%, almost a third of the back takes were from standing.
Mm.
So I would think something from like an arm drag.
Arm drag, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the guard, was 11%.
Yeah.
Which 1 in 10, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
But I mean, I said this previously. It's really cool and pretty interesting to see like hard black and white data for what's happening.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's real cool.
A bizarre statistic I ran into was I'm a huge Hodger fanboy. He's more close to my height, so I always look at like anything biomechanically he can do, I should be able to pull off. So it's it's always nice to have somebody you can try to emulate that is at a very high level. And I'm also a huge nerd, so like I own every DVD of every big tournament, and I counted. It's over 50 fights of his that I have on DVD. He plays open guard exactly 0 times in all those matches. And we're talking about modern jiu-jitsu, and we see the Barambolos and a lot of De La Hiva moves and all that stuff. And you look at, Hodger's one of the most dominant tournament fighters ever. No open guard.
Didn't he do X guard at the 2006 Pan?
So there's the one odd statistic is that he probably did, and I didn't see that fight, but the cover of the DVD of the extra fights has him doing that. Right. And I'm just like, but that fight's not on the DVD. And I'm like, what is that? That's the one open guard thing I've ever seen, and it's not there.
Really?
Yeah. But he pulls closed guard. And I remember you guys were talking at the Pan Ams, you guys were joking around a little bit about, is the closed guard dead? While Buchecha is just murdering somebody from the closed guard. Man, the best tournament fighter ever. Closed guard, you're good, you're done.
Oh yeah.
Drags the arm, goes to the back, whatever it may be. And it was really frustrating. I wanted to see what his open guard. I'm going through every DVD. It's like, it's not there.
So does that inspire you to just pull closed guard all the time?
I play a lot more closed guard.
Closed guard is awesome.
It's fantastic. I mean, it's just an extra step for the guy to pass. And why wouldn't you take advantage of that situation? So
I guess this is the perfect counterpoint for the sport, the modern versus, I guess, classic jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Is Hodger's success. Because everybody knew what he was doing. It's just no one could stop it.
I know. It's like he mails you a postcard. I'm going to pass your guard. I'm going to mount you. I'm going to collar choke you. And you have the postcard, and you're about to get on the mat, and you're still going to can't stop it. And I personally love that. I love that style. Some people may think it's boring or not exciting, but for example, like when he fought Humalo in the absolute finals a couple years ago, he had a 6-minute guard pass.
Yeah.
Where he just put the weight and adjust the grip, put the weight and adjust the grip for 6 minutes to pass, and at modern jiu-jitsu is very fast, very quick, a lot of back takes, guy makes a mistake, but then here comes a guy who I'm just going to stomp you for 6 minutes and then I'm going to choke you.
Yeah.
I love that stuff.
I believe, I'm trying to remember, I think the only person that's passed his guard in sport that I remember now, I'm not counting below brown belt, I believe. Well, you know what? Did Pedipano pass? Margarita did. But that's the only guy that I can really remember that actually passed Hodger's closed guard. So
yeah.
So he does have a pretty freaky closed guard.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
I mean, he's a freak anyway, but not many people can have that statistic either.
Yeah, I mean, look at the names he's put to the sword with the closed guard. Everything from Jacare with that armbar, that horrible armbar, and then Drysdale in a lot of finals, and then everybody else. I mean, even Zondi, he's got normal platas from the closed guard and all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
So,
all right.
So work on your closed guard, kids.
That's right.
Even though it's dead.
Exactly.
Oh wow.
And Sean has killed it.
Yeah, like what? My move is from the closed guard.
Yeah.
And on that note, hold on, guys. We'll be right back.
BudoVideos.com, home of the world's largest selection of quality jiu-jitsu kimonos. Shoyu Roll, Storm, Tatami, Bull Terrier, Venom, and others. Styles from more than 30 top brands in stock and ready to ship. BudoVideos.com. You're only a click away from owning a new gi today.
Welcome back. This episode is partially sponsored by The Brewery. Thank you, guys.
Yeah,
nice.
No kidding.
Wow.
Real nice.
This is a 13%er?
15%.
15%.
We're not messing around.
So challenge accepted.
No one's driving after this.
Only.
Just rolling.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Budo
Much
Dave
safer.
Budo Dave bringing in the good stuff today.
Yeah, that's really good, actually. It's very good.
So, speaking of 13%, we have some great news. Gracie Mag reports that Terere is out of rehab, and they quoted him. And he states, and apparently he's very lucid right now, he states, "I'm not an addict. What I have is schizophrenia. The disease is what makes me go to drugs. I wasn't able to cope with the disease. I've stopped taking medication and have relapses. I've learned to deal with the disease, and all I want to do now is start training again and spread jiu-jitsu around the world." Which is good news because he's been fighting this for several years, right?
Yeah.
He was in the UK. Is he back in Brazil now?
He's been going back and forth. He got married and was going to open up an academy in the furthest reaches of England. Then he moved back to Brazil and got in trouble again. Yeah. So I don't know where he is at this point.
Which, I mean, speaks to jiu-jitsu because I know a couple of people personally who've sort of battled with substance and like the rougher side of life, and I know training gave them an avenue to focus and really. Did you guys have any experience with that, or not personally, but friends, or personally? No judgment.
I know that jiu-jitsu has gotten me out of some hairy situations. You know, some very hard times that I've gone through. It's been there like a best friend.
Right.
Yeah.
The best friend that tries to beat you up and break your arms.
Yeah.
It keeps you honest, if nothing else.
Yeah.
I'd
It
say
keeps you grounded. It keeps you very grounded.
I say it's the best abusive relationship I've ever been in.
Yeah, it is.
By a long shot.
Yeah. Training is probably the biggest part of my life. I mean, I just love it. And it's just, I think it heals all wounds.
Yeah. And it's relatively cheap entertainment. I mean, if you're paying for a monthly unlimited plan, you can go every night.
Oh, yeah. No, it is. I mean, plus, like, how many times have you ever said this? Would you trade your belt in for $1 million that you have right now? If you could never train jiu-jitsu again.
No.
No.
See? Done. Me neither. No one would. Right. Well, no one in their right mind would be like, yeah, I'll do it. I'm calling it crap, you know? You wouldn't do it because it will be a part of your life forever. And the people that are just getting into jiu-jitsu, that are listening to this, like, man, it will be one of the most influential, important things, that decision that you've ever made. Yeah.
What's interesting is, you train a lot of places and you meet a lot of people from so many different backgrounds, but it's one of the few communities that I've ever been a part of where it's just a lot of level-headed, a lot of very stable and very nice people. And like I said, they can come from anywhere and join the gym or whatever gym that, part of the country or part of the world, but there's a lot of really solid guys in there. So
right.
Well, when people say, isn't jiu-jitsu training rough? And I said, not really. But one, even the discomfort seems to put the rest of life in perspective. Rough day at work, whatever. You go sweat it out, and in comparison to a hard day of training, maybe the last 8 hours of stress isn't so stressful.
Yeah. You get mounted and smashed by someone. The rest of the day is easy.
Yeah.
Well, I hope Terere stays in.
Absolutely.
Because that guy is sick. Like, he's one of my favorite guys to watch ever.
Yep.
He was so talented.
Yeah. And I talked to Cobrinha, who he trained with him in Brazil a year or two back. He said he's still got it. He hasn't lost anything.
Wow.
This is amazing.
I mean, there was that YouTube video of him in the UK, like prepping for the Worlds, and he was looking scary. He was looking. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it. I guess the visa problems to get here, but he was looking really, really scary.
Yeah. Right. He's amazing.
So, Kevin, you've been in jiu-jitsu for a decade.
Yeah,
now.
just about. Yeah.
You have any goals or any landmarks you're looking forward to?
You know what? You get to the brown belt level, you're thinking about, I'd like to get to the black belt eventually. Although I still have in the back of my mind that Groucho Marx. Like, I don't want to be part of any group that would have me as a member, because it's still like, it still has that allure or that aspect, and so I enjoy the process more than anything else. Like just studying things and looking things up and trying to just the learning aspect of it. I don't worry about training. I don't train that hard that much. You have your life run into you kind of thing, and you have other things going on, but just that constant in your life that you can always go back to and just keep learning. It's an endless well, and there'll always be a better guy and something you can pick up and learn from. So I like that. I like that you have that eternal thing to look forward to. And whether I have a modern style or a more classical style, I still love seeing the new things coming out and seeing the new things come up and learning those things. And like Sean said, whether you use it or not, you should still know what it is and still be able to use those the defense aspects to them and all those sort of things. So I'm trying to hit that level curve where you don't get too excited and you don't get like bummed out on it. You know, you just have that part of your life. And so I'm trying to slowly settle into that, and that's the part I enjoy the most.
We're both brown belts, and I'm right there with you. I'm not in any hurry to get my black belt. I'm just enjoying the process, and I think if anything, the black belt puts additional pressure on you that it's not really fun.
Exactly.
But Sean, I asked you about this. I asked you, did you feel like you were ready for your black belt? And you told me absolutely.
Well, I trained a lot. Like I didn't think I didn't know. This was a shock to me. It was a shock to me because I was planning on doing some competitions that year as a brown belt still, and I was training like I trained a lot though. I mean, I was training a lot. We were very, very fortunate to have super high level guys come up all the time. So and get smashed by all the high level guys at our school. So I mean, I felt like I was prepared, but I didn't. It was shocking when I got it. I didn't expect it at that time. You know, I had only been brown belt for 6 months, so certainly didn't think that was coming right then and there.
When you got your black belt, did you feel like you couldn't experiment or play as much?
No, absolutely not. You know, I came from a karate background, so a lot of heavy traditional influence, and I still feel like the Japanese have it down where they say the black belt is the beginning. So and I really like that sort of mentality. So I felt like I felt literally like the first year I was a black belt, I felt like I grew like 25%, got 25% better. And now, man, I would smash the guy that got the black belt then, you know, like I feel like I've lived like 3 lifetimes since then and gotten way better. So no, I think for everybody out there, black belt is the beginning. And trust me, when you get your black belt, oh man, you will get so much better in the next couple of years. You won't even believe it.
Why do you think that is?
Man, I don't know. You know, the funny thing about belts, I've seen a trend. I don't know if other teachers would agree with me, but I've seen a big trend that when someone gets a new belt, whether they thought they were ready or not, they tend to get much better in the following 6 months, a year, depending on how much they train. But as long as they're consistently training, it's almost like it's a fish tank. It's almost like a fish tank or a pot of a flower, like, or a tree, and it grows to that tank size, you know. And that's kind of how I think students are. When they get promoted, they grow into that belt. And sometimes it's like, whoa, I can't believe that guy grew that fast into that. It's really weird to see, but it happens.
I remember getting, you know, blue belt, purple belt, all those sort of things, and the first thing that comes to your mind is like, while they've noticed that I'm getting better, I want to justify their faith in me, that I'm, you know, worthy of a blue belt, purple belt, whatever belt it may be. And you start putting in that work, and you still see it all the time. Guy gets his blue belt and he just lights up. And he's like, oh man, these guys think I'm good. I'm gonna go for it now, and they do get good. And then 6 months later, they're killing it. You're like, yeah,
that's true.
I did that.
Yeah, a belt is almost motivational.
Yeah,
in that sense.
Yeah.
I like hearing what you said about black belt, because at this point in my career, I'm a lower belt. Like, new techniques, you know, modern jiu-jitsu or whatever is being thrown at me is candy. Like, I see things at the World and I just want to play. Yeah. Like, I want to get in there, I just try it. If I get smashed, whatever, but I want to play with it. Yeah. And I think there's this perception that once you become a black belt, you have to be this, you know, stalwart, you know, statue of a martial artist. And I like the idea that it's a little more nimble. Yeah. You can still watch stuff and be like, I think
your perspective also changes from belt to belt. When you're a white belt, you're looking at like, oh my God, this guy's a blue belt, whatever. And you get to the blue belt and you try to look at a different, you know, I'm to the point now where it's like, and I tell this to lower guys, like, I'm going to train tomorrow. I train today. I'm going to come and train tomorrow. It doesn't matter what belt I have on. And I understand that's a different perspective than someone who's just beginning, and they want to be recognized and they want to be acknowledge that they're getting better. And so the perspective does change, and I'm sure it'll change for you when you get to your purple and brown and so on, where you're like Jake and I are like, oh man, black belt, that's a heavy load.
Will anything change for you when you get your black belt? Will you open up a school or anything like that?
No, I have enough going on, work-wise, life-wise, that I mean, Sean knows the responsibility behind having to run an academy and all those sort of things, and you know, bless those guys who can do it and do it well. And I'm always happy to see guys who are able to open up their own school and really make jiu-jitsu part of their life, you know, and a bigger part of their life that way. But for me, like I said, I'm just sort of in that baseline now where it's just, it is a normal part of my daily routine. And then I enjoy going in, but other things, you know, it is a priority, but it's not the main priority.
Right. All right. Well, the Mendes brothers showed a really cool armbar from the close guard at their grand opening seminar. Let's take a look at this video, and then we're going to go to the mats and try it out. Hoffa on the bottom, Guilherme on top.
So deep collar grip.
Block the shoulder. Hip up. Didn't quite have the angle to see the front of it, but is that how you do close guard?
And that's where they hit the finish from without passing the leg over the head? I've certainly seen that. Oh, yeah. If you can trap the shoulder, yeah. I tend to pass the leg over the head. I mean, you know, there's a couple of things that you can do from that thing where you're hipping up, and if the arm lock doesn't work, you can actually make the guy cross both of his arms like this, and that's pretty entertaining. But there's a detail that I like to do. That when you get the legs over the shoulder, you use the knee to push on the shoulder, and it helps you move your hips out a little bit, and then you can pass the leg over the head. It's super tight, super tight. But I've seen this version work quite well before.
All right. Well, let's take a look at it on the mats. We'll be back in just a minute, guys.
BudoVideos.com, home of the world's largest selection of quality jiu-jitsu kimonos. Show Your Roll, Storm, Tatami, Bull Terrier, Venom, and others. Styles from more than 30 top brands in stock and ready to ship. BudoVideos.com. You're only a click away from owning a new gi today.
All right, guys, welcome back. We're here on the mats, and Sean, you're going to show us how you like to do a close guard armbar.
Yeah, a little variation, kind of very similar to what Hoffa showed on the seminar. So Jake gets in his closed guard. Now you can do it from all kinds of different setups, right? You can do collar grip, you can do overhand grip. It doesn't really matter what setup that you want to take. So let's go left hand in the collar. There we go. Yep. So we'll have our double attack, right? In case he wants to do cross choke, collar choke. So right foot's going to go on the hip. Yep, you're gonna move your hips towards me now, so we're gonna take that far arm. Yep, now, instead of just passing the leg over the head, we're gonna lock the knee over the shoulder in a high guard. Now I want your right hand to go up to the shoulder, so you're gonna help hold the shoulder down, and then you're gonna use your knee to push on his shoulder, which will move your hip out to your right. And then open your guard, keep the pressure with the knee before you pass the leg over the head. So one more time. So again, it's gonna go right foot on the hip. We gotta get our high guard, get our angle over the shoulder, lock up the guard, and then the right hand's gonna help hold the posture down. This knee, push on his shoulder as hard as you can. Now, I also want you to point your toes all the way around the corner. So I want you to move your hip out with that knee pressure. There you go. Now leg comes over the head. Very nice. Slick little trick to move your hips out and keep the pressure on his shoulder and his head.
One detail, pushing the shoulder, makes a big difference.
It's a pretty cool little detail.
It's funny, it's hard to see, but it's already started adjusting my arms.
Yeah, yeah. I got another little trick for you. Want to hear this one?
Yes.
Show it to you. Yeah. So one trick, guys, when you're moving your hips out, if you don't really want to focus on the actual hip, you can focus on how your foot is pointed, and it'll help you move your hips out. So for instance, if you are in the guard and you want to move your hips out to your right, if you, instead of using the hip, we'll just make this really easy to see. If you straighten this leg completely straight, open your guard, and you push down on his hip and point your toes this way pretty forcefully, your hips are gonna scoot out to your right. So if you do that all in one shot, yeah, your hips move. So think about pointing your toes to face this way, even more. Face me with, there you go. It's gonna make your hip move. There you go.
That's right, not thinking about the hip.
You're not thinking about the hip. And sometimes when you're teaching a guy to move his hips that doesn't have experience moving his hips, they start thinking about the hip, and then they get confused rather than just straighten your leg, point your toes this way, and the hips move. It's a cool little detail.
It's all about the small details.
It is.
All right. Well, Sean Williams, Kevin Finn, thanks for being part of the show today. We'll see you guys next Friday at 4:30, and keep on rolling.
That concludes this installment of This Week in BJJ. Subscribe on iTunes, watch and review past episodes, and then be sure to join us again next Friday night, right here for another live edition of This Week in BJJ.